Now, ahead of today's ruling, lots of legal experts believed that birthright citizenship was so fundamental to this country that the overwhelming majority of justices on the court, possibly even all 9, would uphold it. Instead, only 5 justices ruled that ending birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. A 6th, Justice Kavanaugh, joined the majority in rejecting Trump's order, but issued his own opinion, saying that Congress could simply pass a law to end birthright citizenship and accomplish the president's goals. Donald Trump, who, let's just say, normally reacts to adverse court rulings with quite a bit of performative outrage, issued a relatively sanguine statement, saying Congress could, quote, easily make it up through legislation. Senator Ted Cruz echoed Trump's call for legislation to end birthright citizenship, saying Congress should take it up immediately. My point is this. The Supreme Court's decision today, even after 18 months of limbo, was good news, unquestionably. But their narrow ruling was far too close for comfort, and it should feel that way. I mean, just listen to the way Vice President J.D. Vance reacted to it on Fox News earlier tonight.
A lot of legal experts expected this case to go the wrong direction by 7-2 or even 8-1. The fact that this case was a 5-4 decision effectively means that the concept of birthright citizenship, which is an absurdity to the 14th Amendment, that concept is hanging by a thread. We've just got to keep fighting at this.
The Vice President of the United States just said it's hanging by a thread, and we've just got to keep fighting at this. See, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller, of course, none of them are giving up on this issue. The Trump administration understands, or they believe, that this issue is important to his hold on power within his base of the Republican Party. There's nothing more important to him than that. And while the court may have handed him a loss on birthright citizenship today, they also handed him a victory just 100 days before the midterm elections, because in a separate ruling this morning, the court's conservative majority upended campaign finance rules, a decision that is going to give national parties, which in the case of the Republicans is essentially run by Trump, far more influence over their candidates by allowing them to spend unlimited funds from the party committees on campaigns. We're going to talk more about what that means and how Democrats fight back later this hour. But yeah, we can all breathe a sigh of relief that the Supreme Court did not upend more than 150 years of what it means to be a natural-born American citizen. But this fight is far from over. That's why we got to keep talking about it. I cannot think of 2 people I'd rather have on this table. At this table tonight, Congressman Jamie Raskin is the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, and Kristen Clarke is the former Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the U.S. Department of Justice and now the General Counsel for the NAACP. Thank you both for being here with me. Let me start with you, Congressman. I just talked a little bit about Trump's longtime obsession with this question of who gets to be a real American, who benefits from being an American. And what you heard, I think, from J.D. Vance and also from Trump in his relatively sanguine response was this notion that they're going to keep fighting this. They're going to keep at it. What did you take away from the ruling today and also really the response from the administration?
Well, J.D. Vance made it clear they see this as a 5-4 decision and one that's a sitting duck for further mega Republican Federalist Society-style organizing. And if they could just get one more seat on the court, then they'd be able to flip it over with the right federal statute. Chip Roy showed up in the Judiciary Committee right after the opinion was handed down and said, we're going to fight this and we're going to pass a law to make this happen. So I think that's very much on the agenda. Remember, this really goes to the core of what it means to be an American. The first sentence of the 14th Amendment, which says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of their state. And that overturned the Dred Scott decision, which had tried to define American citizenship with respect to blood and race. You know, it basically said that the Constitution was a white man's compact, and the white man did not have to respect any rights that African Americans had, and African Americans could not be citizens within the meaning of the Diversity Jurisdiction Clause. So it's amazing that they're organizing essentially around that white supremacist principle. And, you know, we can be grateful that the decision came out the way it did, but it was completely obvious it should have been 9-0. The text of the Constitution is clear. The history behind the Constitution is clear. The way it's always been understood is clear. And the only thing that's changed is MAGA Republicans control the House and the Senate, the White House and the Supreme Court, and they want to redefine citizenship.
Yeah, and I want to come back to Congress because the Chip Roy piece is interesting. It's very consistent with what you've already heard from them. But Kristen, let me ask you, I know in the best way you're a nerd who probably read a lot, all of the dissents and the opinion. As you were reading it, there you go. I love it. We love nerds here. What was your takeaway? What are we missing? What do you think people should understand about how the justices approach this
Yeah,
today?
it's a long ruling, 191 pages. And a big chunk of that was Justice Thomas's dissent, which is revisionist in every respect. It defies this colorblind approach to the Constitution that he has taken during his time on the bench. But, you know, what this is an unequivocal rejection of Trump's attempt to redefine what it means to be an American in our country. And this is a project that started before January of 2025, right? This dates back to his first term in office. This is a decade-long effort that has failed. At the end of the day, our democracy is nothing without the Constitution, and I'm grateful that 6 of these 9 justices had good reason to side with just a plain reading of the 14th Amendment, the heart of our Constitution.
Stephen Miller is probably chewing his nails or, I don't know, stress eating tonight or something. But it seems like, again, they want to keep fighting this. They think there's political power in this, right? Put aside whether they have the votes, which I do not think they do have the votes. You tell me if I'm wrong there, and certainly not in the Senate, but I don't even think in the House for this. Do they have the legal ability to push this through Congress, do you think?
Well, no, because at least 5 justices have now said this is the meaning of the Constitution, reaffirming what the Supreme Court has said throughout its history. This is the meaning of the Constitution. But the problem is, well, you've got Thomas, you've got Alito and Gorsuch, and then Kavanaugh kind of split the difference and said, well, the federal statutory law now establishes birthright citizenship, but that could be undone by Congress, which is what J.D. Vance is picking up on and saying, well, right there, we're going to have 5-4, and if we can somehow just get one more seat, we can actually revolutionize the meaning of the Constitution by overturning it. And they think there's political mileage in it. Remember, these are people who right now have no program for America, Jen. It's not like they've got a way to try to get health care to the millions of people who still don't have it, or they've got some plan for infrastructure or making housing more accessible. All they've got is culture war day in and day out, which is why it's, you know, one day it's the 10 Commandments and the next day it's, you know, beating up on transgender kids. And the next day it's, oh, we're going to go back to Dred Scott's interpretation of the Constitution. You know, there's a beautiful concurring opinion here by Justice Jackson taking on and chiding Justice Thomas, saying, you've always said before that the Constitution mandates absolute colorblindness to the extent that you can't even have proactive affirmative remedies to deal with racism. But now all of a sudden, you know, he's redefining the first sentence of the 14th Amendment to exclude certain groups and their children in the country.